The Galactic Council convened, a grand assembly of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, each representing their respective species. The chamber buzzed with activity as reports were exchanged and analyzed. All eyes were on the newest intelligence gathered on Earth, a relatively new player on the galactic stage. The report, displayed holographically in the center of the room, depicted Earth's fleet, small, almost laughably so, especially when compared to the vast armadas of the Council members. Amidst the grandiose discussions, there was an air of dismissal, almost contemptuous, as each alien representative weighed in. The Zargathan war chief, known for his brutal campaigns across several star systems, scoffed openly, his mandibles clicking in disdain. This is what we are to concern ourselves with. A fleet barely worthy of the name, made up of ships that would struggle to even be classified as corvettes in our fleets. His laughter echoed through the chamber, quickly joined by others. The Ryloth diplomat, ever the strategist, attempted to temper the mockery with a veneer of seriousness. Their numbers are insignificant, true, but they have shown a propensity for survival. Perhaps we should at least consider the possibility of... But she was cut off by a booming voice from the far side of the chamber. The Creel general, his eyes glowing with contempt, interjected. Survival? Against whom? Themselves? These humans have faced no real threat. Their technology is primitive, their numbers laughable. They are nothing. Sitting quietly amidst the clamor was the human ambassador, a lone figure in the midst of this alien congregation. His presence was a formality, a gesture of inclusion, though everyone knew it was merely symbolic. He listened to the Council's dismissal of Earth's defenses without reaction, his face a mask of calm. His silence was more telling than any words he could have spoken. As the debate raged on, it became clear that the Council was unanimous in its view. Earth's fleet was deemed no threat. The Xylothian Chancellor, who presided over the meeting, leaned forward, his thin lips curling into a smile. Then it is decided. Earth will be subdued. Their fleet, if it can even be called that, will be crushed under the might of our combined forces. There was a general murmur of agreement, punctuated by the occasional snicker. The human ambassador finally spoke, his voice calm and measured. I would caution against underestimating Earth's capabilities. We have always been resourceful, and our strength lies not in our numbers, but in our innovation. His words, though politely delivered, were met with outright laughter. The idea that innovation could stand against the sheer power of the Council's armadas was laughable to them. The ambassador's warning was dismissed without a second thought. The decision was made. Earth would be invaded, its fleet obliterated, and its resources claimed. The Council members began making preparations for the assault, each eager to demonstrate their superiority over this upstart species. As the meeting adjourned, the human ambassador remained seated for a moment longer, watching as the various representatives filed out of the chamber, still laughing, still confident in their impending victory. He knew they did not comprehend the depth of Earth's resolve, nor the ingenuity that had always defined humanity. There was no need to press the point further. They would soon understand, though he wished it could be under different circumstances. The alien armada, vast and imposing, was soon mobilized. Ships the size of cities, bristling with weapons, set a course for Earth. The Council members, filled with confidence and anticipation, watched their fleets depart, already envisioning their triumph. The laughter continued to echo in their halls, but the human ambassador, as he quietly exited the chamber, knew that it would not last. In the silence of his private quarters, he sent one final message back to Earth. It was a simple one, but it carried the weight of what was to come. The Earth fleet, small but formidable in ways the Council could not yet imagine, was ready. The stage was set, the players were in motion, and the outcome would soon be written in the stars. The confidence of the Council would soon be shattered, and with it, their arrogance. Earth's fleet, by all appearances, was a humble collection of ships, modest in size and number. To an outside observer, it seemed almost laughable that such a small force would stand against the vast armada hurtling toward them. The alien vessels, each a titan of engineering, dwarfed the human ships, their metallic surfaces gleaming with the power of 1,000 worlds. But appearances were deceiving, and beneath the unassuming exteriors of Earth's fleet lay a technological marvel that the galaxy had never seen. Within the command ship, a hub of activity buzzed as the fleet commander gathered with his senior officers. They all knew what the rest of the galaxy didn't, that these ships were more than they seemed. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human ingenuity, built not just from steel and circuitry but from a network of trillions of nanobots. These nanobots, invisible to the naked eye, were the true strength of Earth's fleet. Able to disassemble and reassemble at will, they transformed each ship into a modular, adaptable force capable of responding to any threat. The commander addressed his officers, his voice steady but filled with the weight of what was to come. He spoke of the fleet's true potential, the secret weapon that would turn the tide of battle. The nanobots, he explained, were not just capable of reconfiguration but could also divide into countless smaller units. This meant that the entire fleet could disperse into millions of independent microships, each one a formidable combatant in its own right. This swarm of ships could infiltrate the enemy lines, sabotage systems, and strike from every angle, overwhelming the alien forces in ways they could never anticipate. The strategy was as bold as it was brilliant. The fleet would allow the alien armada to approach, letting them believe that victory was within their grasp. Then, at the right moment, the fleet would divide, unleashing a swarm of microships that would envelop the enemy, disrupting their formations and turning their size against them. The alien ships, designed to combat large, singular threats, would find themselves unable to cope with the relentless assault of millions of smaller foes. It was a strategy born of necessity, but also of humanity's unique ability to think outside the conventional bounds of warfare. As the commander finished outlining the plan, there was a palpable shift in the room. The tension that had been simmering beneath the surface began to solidify into a steely resolve. Each crew member knew their role, and though the odds were daunting, they were confident in their technology, in the ingenuity that had brought them to this moment. They knew that the coming battle would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed, and they were ready to meet it head-on. With preparations complete, the fleet moved into position, awaiting the inevitable confrontation. The nanobot systems were activated, the ships humming with a low, almost imperceptible energy as they readied themselves for the transformation that would soon take place. The crew members, though calm on the surface, could feel the weight of the coming battle pressing down on them. They knew that within moments, their fleet would either become a legend or a footnote. As the alien armada drew closer, still oblivious to the trap that awaited them, Earth's fleet stood poised, ready to unleash the full extent of its hidden potential. The stage was set for a battle that would redefine the very nature of warfare in the galaxy, and Earth's tiny fleet, underestimated and overlooked, would soon reveal its true might. The anticipation in the air was almost tangible, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for the moment when the small would become mighty and the mighty would fall. The alien armada arrived with the confidence of a predator ready to feast on its prey. Arrayed in perfect formation, their massive ships glided through the void, weapons primed and ready to obliterate the small human fleet that dared to stand in their way. They had been briefed, after all, on the insignificance of Earth's defenses, a mere formality before they could move on to the real prize, the planet itself. With a sense of inevitability, the alien forces unleashed their first barrage. Beams of energy and torrents of plasma lanced through space, aimed directly at the tiny human ships. The aliens expected these fragile vessels to be torn apart, disintegrated by the sheer force of their attack. But as the firepower converged on Earth's fleet, something unexpected happened. The ships didn't shatter. They didn't even remain stationary to absorb the impact. Instead, they moved, swiftly and unpredictably, scattering in all directions with a speed and precision that defied the aliens' expectations. Panic rippled through the alien ranks as their initial assault failed to connect. The commanders ordered adjustments, recalibrating their targeting systems, convinced that a second, more concentrated volley would finish the job. But before they could even regroup, the human fleet did something that sent shockwaves of confusion through the alien ranks. It divided. What had been a small, concentrated fleet suddenly exploded into millions of smaller units, each one a tiny ship in its own right, moving with the agility of a swarm of locusts. The aliens were caught completely off guard. Their tactical systems, designed to track and engage large ships, struggled to lock onto these minuscule, rapidly moving targets. The swarm surrounded the alien armada, weaving in and out of the defensive grids, slipping past shields and into the vulnerable underbelly of the massive ships. The aliens, once so sure of their dominance, now found themselves in a battle they didn't understand, a battle where their size and power were rendered meaningless. Desperation began to creep in. Alien commanders barked orders, their voices tinged with disbelief. How could such a small, insignificant fleet suddenly multiply into this chaotic swarm? The once disciplined and formidable armada was now in disarray, their formations broken, their firepower misdirected. The nanobot ships, each operating independently yet in perfect harmony, infiltrated the alien vessels, targeting critical systems with surgical precision. Engines sputtered and died, weapon systems went offline, and communication networks were severed, leaving the alien ships isolated and vulnerable. The first casualties followed swiftly. A massive alien battleship, once the pride of its fleet, suddenly went dark, its systems completely compromised by the nanobot swarm. It drifted powerless, before being torn apart from within, its once mighty hull reduced to debris. The loss sent shockwaves through the alien armada. This was no longer a battle, it was a massacre, and they were the prey. The aliens' confidence, once so unshakable, now faltered. Fear spread through the ranks as more ships fell victim to the relentless assault. The swarm was everywhere, its movements too fast, too unpredictable to counter. The alien forces had no answer to this new kind of warfare, one that turned their every strength into a liability. The realization dawned too late that they were not facing a simple fleet, but a technologically advanced force that had turned the very fabric of warfare on its head. In the midst of the chaos, the alien commander, once so certain of an easy victory, saw the writing on the wall. His armada was crumbling, their numbers rapidly dwindling as ship after ship was disabled or destroyed. There was no shame in retreat, he reasoned, only survival. With a heavy heart, he gave the order to withdraw, to escape with what little remained of his once invincible fleet. As the surviving ships turned and fled, the commander's mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion. How could they have underestimated the humans so gravely? How had such a tiny fleet become a swarm that devoured their armada whole? The laughter that had filled the council chambers before the battle was now a distant memory, replaced by the cold, gnawing fear of the unknown. The humans had revealed only a fraction of their true power, and that alone had been enough to send the mightiest fleet in the galaxy running. The retreating ships, battered and broken, left behind a battlefield littered with the remnants of their fallen comrades, a graveyard of arrogance and underestimation. The retreating alien forces scrambled to regroup, their once unified armada now a scattered collection of damaged and disoriented ships. Panic gripped the alien ranks as they desperately tried to form a coherent defense. The initial shock of the nanofleet's assault had shattered their confidence, but they still believed they could turn the tide with a well-coordinated counterattack. Orders were barked, and the remnants of the fleet attempted to reorganize, but the humans had no intention of giving them the chance. The nanofleet pressed its advantage, relentless and unyielding. The tiny, agile ships harassed the alien vessels at every turn, striking before the aliens could even begin to mount a counteroffensive. Each time the aliens tried to regroup, the swarm would disperse and reassemble in new formations, confusing and overwhelming the enemy's targeting systems. The chaos within the alien ranks grew as their attempts to strike back were met with nothing but failure. Their advanced weaponry, designed to devastate traditional fleets, was rendered useless against the ever-shifting swarm. The nanobot ships adapted on the fly, reconfiguring themselves to counter every tactic the aliens deployed. The alien commander, once a figure of authority and composure, now faced the grim reality of their situation. His ships were being torn apart one by one, and every strategy he tried was outmatched by the sheer versatility of the nanofleet. In a final, desperate bid to salvage something from the disaster, he ordered an all-out attack, throwing every remaining ship into the fray. It was a gamble born of desperation, but it was the only option left. But the nanofleet was ready. As the alien ships surged forward, the swarm responded with unmatched precision. The nanobot vessels shifted into new forms, creating barriers, traps, and decoys that disrupted the alien charge. They infiltrated the alien ships, disabling critical systems, turning the advanced technology of the invaders against them. The alien commander watched in horror as his fleet was dismantled piece by piece, his ships rendered helpless by a force they could neither understand nor counter. The battle reached its zenith as entire sections of the alien armada were systematically destroyed. The mighty warships that had once been the pride of the Galactic Council were reduced to burning wreckage, their remains scattered across the void. The once great fleet, which had set out with such confidence and arrogance, was now little more than debris, floating aimlessly in the aftermath of the devastation. The few surviving ships, crippled and barely functional, turned tail and fled, their crews in a state of abject terror. The nanofleet, having decimated the alien forces, began to reassemble into its original form. The individual ships merged back together, creating a cohesive fleet once more. The silence that followed was almost eerie, a stark contrast to the chaos and destruction that had just unfolded. The battle was over, and Earth's victory was complete. The few aliens who had survived the onslaught were left to contemplate the magnitude of their defeat. They had underestimated humanity, and the cost had been catastrophic. The technological prowess of the nanofleet had not only secured victory for Earth but had also sent a clear message to the galaxy. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The laughter that had once filled the Galactic Council's chambers was now replaced by a deep, pervasive fear. The humans had revealed only a fraction of their capabilities, but it had been more than enough to shatter the arrogance of the galaxy's most powerful beings. As the remnants of the alien fleet limped away, the nanofleet hovered victoriously in the void, a silent sentinel over the battlefield. The victory had been decisive, and the consequences would ripple across the galaxy. Earth, once seen as insignificant, had shown that it could not only defend itself but could do so with a power that none had anticipated. The galaxy would never be the same. The news of the alien armada's crushing defeat spread like wildfire across the galaxy, reaching every corner where the Galactic Council's influence had once been unquestioned. Planets that had long feared the power of the Council's fleets were now buzzing with disbelief. How could it be that Earth, a planet whose fleet had been dismissed as insignificant, had not only survived but utterly annihilated one of the most formidable forces ever assembled? The shockwave of this revelation reverberated through the political and military hierarchies of countless star systems, throwing the once mighty Galactic Council into disarray. Within the Council's chambers, the atmosphere had shifted from arrogance and overconfidence to confusion and fear. The representatives, who had once laughed at the prospect of Earth posing any threat, now found themselves grappling with the impossible. Their finest fleet, their most advanced technology, had been reduced to rubble by a force they had belittled. The implications were staggering. How had they so completely underestimated humanity? And more importantly, what would this mean for the balance of power in the galaxy? As the Council struggled to comprehend the full extent of their defeat, a message arrived from Earth. It was clear, direct, and unambiguous. Humanity, it stated, sought peace above all else, but they would not hesitate to defend themselves with any means necessary. The message carried a tone of quiet strength, a reminder that Earth's victory was not a fluke but a testament to their resilience and innovation. The Council, now humbled, began to reconsider their stance on Earth. The planet they had once viewed as an afterthought had proven itself capable of extraordinary feats, and any further underestimation would be not just foolish, but potentially catastrophic. In the aftermath of the battle, the human fleet commander took a moment to reflect on the events that had unfolded. The victory had been decisive, but it had come at a cost. The world now knew of Earth's advanced technology, and with that knowledge came the risk of attracting unwanted attention from other powers in the galaxy. The commander understood the gravity of the situation. This battle had not just been about survival, but about sending a message. However, that message could have far-reaching consequences, and it was imperative that humanity remain vigilant in the face of whatever challenges might come next. The impact of Earth's triumph was felt far and wide. The Galactic Council, once so sure of their dominance, now recognized humanity as a force to be reckoned with. No longer could they dismiss Earth as a backwater planet with no real influence. The laughter that had once echoed through the council's halls was gone, replaced by a solemn respect and a cautious approach to future interactions with Earth. The council members, each grappling with the reality of their new position, knew that the galaxy had changed, and with it, their approach to power and diplomacy would need to evolve. As the human fleet prepared to return home, the sense of accomplishment was tempered by the knowledge that this victory was just the beginning. Earth had proven itself on the galactic stage, but with that proof came new responsibilities and new dangers. The galaxy was vast, and while today's battle had been won, tomorrow would bring new challenges. Yet there was confidence in the fleet, a belief in the strength and ingenuity that had carried them through this fight. They were returning home not just as victors, but as protectors of a legacy that would shape the future of humanity's place among the stars. The final moments of the journey were marked by a sense of readiness. The fleet, now united and stronger than ever, was prepared for whatever the galaxy might bring next. The message was clear: Earth was not to be underestimated, and any who sought to challenge them would face the full might of a people who had turned the impossible into reality. As the fleet moved through the void, the stars ahead seemed brighter, the path forward clear. The galaxy had been changed forever, and Earth stood at the center of that transformation, ready to face whatever lay ahead.